I was around the second grade. I moved in from Shell Village. That was an Indian village. My dad had a store and a ranch down there. So we moved into Van Hook, and the house that my dad got happened to be right beside Albert Brodol's house. And the first friend I found was right beside me was Casper, and he was my age. And Casper didn't have a bicycle, and I had a balloon-tired bicycle, and I had some ponies. For day one, we'd ride my horses, and we'd ride my bicycle, and we'd go toboggan in the wintertime and in the snow, because he didn't have a toboggan, or they didn't have. And then we'd go up in the park and play in the trees. We'd play cops and robbers and Indians. And we were kind of bullies. We chased the rest of the town kids out. So Casper and I, we never had a fight. We never had an argument. We had a lot of fun. We played. And of course, I'd go over there in the mornings to see if they were going to go to school, because in the wintertime they didn't get to go to school because there wasn't enough clothes. I'd get up in the morning and eat, whether it was school or no school. I was over there right away, because they all sat like chickens on the kitchen cook stove that burnt coal, and they didn't have very much coal, so they sat on there to keep warm, and they'd roost like chickens on a roost, you know. And of course, poor Minnie, she worked, and Albert, things went sour for him, and he did work a little bit for Dad. Maybe once or twice a week he would butcher. Maynard went out west to work in the Vancouver shipyards, and I would say that Maynard was about 17 when he went out there, and he went out there and worked, and he made a little money, so he'd send a few dollars home to help his folks. And he came back to North Dakota in that darn old Model A, and I never forget that he drove in the yard, and of course they were all happy. And the next day, they took their few dishes and their food, knives and forks, and their quilts, and they wrapped everything in quilts because they had no suitcases, and they put them on the roof. And on the back, there was a car carrier on the back that you could carry stuff. They tied them on the fenders and on the hood and on the front fenders. It looked just like a gypsy caravan. My guy, they got all packed up and everything they owned. And then, of course, then Maynard got in the car, and Albert and Minnie got in the car, and Leland got in the car, and then Casper got in the car, and Clarence got in the car, and Ardell got in the car. They got in the car and packed up right beside me. And of course, I was crying. Casper was crying. And they left. And they left. Yeah, it was a pretty tough time. When they left for a walk west, it was a migration of many, many families out of Van Hook that all went to Vancouver to work in the shipyard. Many families. It just wasn't the Brodols. There was Smiths and Snyders and Ellises and Thompsons and Mummerdals and Arnolds, and my goodness gracious, there was hardly anybody left in Van Hook. And who was left there, the rest of them had to go into the army because the war was on, you know. And all the men that were 18 to 36 years old went in the army, so Van Hook was kind of like a ghost town, and then all these people leaving, you know.